about a month ago, I decided to go on a little adventure. And by little adventure, I mean a big adventure, because I went all the way across the pond to Scotland and Ireland. And we're going to talk about it today. I went alone and I went on a budget. So let's get into it. If you're new here, my name is Rachel, and hi, hello, how are you? Hope you're doing good. I'm alright. I got a wonderful friend, a new addition to my face, so say hi.
Howdy.
His name is Gary. Yes, like the snail from SpongeBob. Hopefully we can make this a streamlined video and I don't go off on too many tangents, because I tried filming this before and I was tangent central, just going off on side quests left and right. So we're gonna try and keep it streamlined. Jessica, hey, you, come on, come here. Keep me on track, okay? It's your one job. If I don't do it, it was on you.
Jessica!
Figured we'd talk about a couple things. One, why I decided to go to Scotland and Ireland. Two, why I decided to go alone. And then third, just kind of a day by day of how it went going to Scotland and Ireland. Also, I may or may not just start speaking with an Irish accent, and I can't help it.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
So why did I pick Scotland and Ireland? A couple different reasons. One, my friend Marlene, if you're watching Marlene, hello. She, a couple years ago, went to Scotland and Ireland and posted some beautiful photos, and I was like, hot diggity dog, I gotta go. Another reason why I decided to go to Scotland and Ireland, besides the beauty of it, because they are beautiful, I've heard from online and via my friend Marlene that it is quite safe, and it's a great starting point if you want to go solo traveling to a new place that you've never been before. And I can attest, I felt safe the whole time I was there. Not once did I ever feel like a sketchy vibe from somebody. Yeah, I felt great the whole time. I felt safer there than I do where I live in America. I don't know what that means, but hopefully it helps you out. If you are an American, I felt perfectly fine there, being alone as a female. So, can attest to the reviews online and via my friend Marlene that I would recommend going solo traveling there. Obviously, I'm just a person telling you my opinion, so...
Whatever she said with a grain of salt.
So my flight, just so you know, was about $620-ish, I believe, and it was through Delta Airlines. 10 out of 10 recommend Delta Airlines. They give you little TVs, and they have good movie selections. I watched The Big Lebowski, I watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I watched Interstellar. So many good options for movies, so definitely recommend. Also, their meals are pretty good. You got two from your flight across the Atlantic and back, 2 each time, and they weren't bad. So that's basically the down and dirty as to why I decided to go to Scotland and Ireland. One, beautiful pictures. Beautiful scenery I saw online. I needed to go. Was rated very, very safe via online articles and through my friend and through her own experiences, especially if you're traveling solo. And then the third reason, I happened to find cheap plane tickets. So you might be asking, why did I go alone? The main reason is because it's the adult reason. Nothing crazy, no drama. People were busy.
The gang's all here.
They either didn't have the money, didn't have a passport, couldn't get the vacation time, whatever, adult reasons as to why they couldn't go. And I had some savings still. I had the free time, I had a passport. I hadn't gone to the country in 5 years, so my poor little passport had been sitting for 5 years just collecting dust. And I wanted to test myself. I feel like it's good every once in a while to challenge yourself and see if you can do things that you didn't think you could do. I've been trying to do that all year. I started acting earlier this year, and I decided, hey, why not do this? Test yourselves. I guess one more thing we'll go into before we go into my day by day is I did this on a budget, and I didn't really plan a whole lot. So I am a Virgo, and Virgos are known for planning every little detail. And I've never really been that crazy about planning, but I typically have a rough idea of what I want to do every day, and that's what I did in England. That's what I've done at Disney World. Pretty much wherever I've gone, I at least had like some idea of what I want to do each day. This time, I wanted to take it just spontaneously. I don't normally do that a whole lot in my life, and I decided that that probably would be a better option in case I met friends, like made friends while I was there, and they had their own plans, and I could come with them to theirs. I just wanted to keep my options open for each day that I was just perusing each different city. So what I did plan was the hostels I was staying in, because I didn't want to be moseying about and not able to find accommodations for the night to sleep. That would stress me out. So I made sure to book hostels before I went, and then I did schedule one excursion in Ireland, and then when I was in Scotland I did a last minute plan for an excursion because I kind of forgot about that for some reason. I also booked a lot of plane tickets as well as tram tickets and bus tickets, and by planes I mean plane ticket. I had to get to Ireland somehow, so I did plan a flight from Edinburgh to Cork. And the nice thing about not being in America and being in other places, like Scotland and Ireland, is they have pretty good public transportation. I did not need a car when I was there, and being alone, paying for a car by myself was just not an option. I wasn't going to do that. And they're not expensive. I think everything ranged between like 10 to 30 American dollars, somewhere in there. The plane ticket that I did get was kind of expensive, unfortunately. Typically flying from Edinburgh to Cork or Dublin is very cheap, but for some reason I waited a little too long, and then it bounced up to $100, and normally it was like $30 to get yourself from Edinburgh to Dublin or Cork. So let's go into just the day by day of my trip. So it did take a while for me to travel from Oregon to Scotland, but I love planes and airports. I love them.
Blah, 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 blah.
So I think total flying it was like 13 or 14 hours. I had a layover in Atlanta, both there and back, and it was pretty smooth. I don't know why my brain always thinks getting to a different country is going to be atrocious and going out of the country is going to be atrocious, but really both ways it was pretty easy. The only thing that really happened was flying through the Portland airport was the guy made fun of my passport picture. And I don't blame him. It looks terrible. It's an awful picture. I don't even know how the government approved it to be my picture because it's very blown out and it don't look like me at all because of that fact. So, Walgreens employee who took that picture, I have a vendetta against you, you know?
It's called vendetta.
I'm just messing with you.
Side note, Atlanta International Airport area looks like a mall. It's crazy in there. So I got to Edinburgh. It was 11 a.m., something like that, local time. Got off, went immediately to get some money out of the ATM. It wasn't too bad. I think both in Scotland and Ireland, their ATMs can give you either one. I know definitely in Ireland, I saw you could either get the euro or the pound out, but I'm pretty sure also in Scotland their ATMs did both. Going through the passport check at Edinburgh was the easiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. If you want an easy adventure to a new city, Edinburgh has been the most seamless, easiest city I've ever encountered when it comes to that sort of stuff. Their passport line, very well organized. It was easy to know where you're supposed to go in the line, and they had personnel there that were pointing you to different ways you could go. Not bad at all. And it was odd because normally when you go through a checkpoint like that with your passport, you have to answer some questions from a guard or whoever it is that is standing there. But here it was just an automated system, kind of like when you go through a train station and you just like scan your ticket and then the gates open. It was basically like that, but instead of a train ticket, it was your passport. So simple. And getting from the Edinburgh airport to the Edinburgh tram to go to downtown, also so easy. When I was there, it happened to be during a really big festival, so it was a little chaotic at the airport and just everywhere. In case you're wondering, the whole month of August in Edinburgh is the festival season, and so because of that, it's very crowded and a lot of the prices are bumped up. The Edinburgh tram that goes from the airport to different stops downtown, it was right outside the airport. They had a lot of signs pointing in the direction to the tram. And then when I was there, I don't know if it's like this all the time or if it was just because it was the festival season and so they knew they would have an influx of international people coming to visit the city. They had people who worked for the tram guiding you in terms of how to buy a ticket if you needed to. And I bought my ticket ahead of time online, which was very convenient. And so I just had to go on the tram, and then once you're on, they do check either your phone or if you have a paper ticket to make sure that you got on the right tram and you paid for it, basically. Believe the amount of time it took for my stop from the airport was about 30 minutes, so it wasn't even that long on the tram. I ended up getting off at Princess Street, and immediately I was in awe of how beautiful Edinburgh was. This city is like no other. It is a magical fairy tale. If you are into Harry Potter, you have to go to Edinburgh. Editing Rachel here, just popping on real fast. Today, September 28, 2023, and today we have probably all heard that it is the second Dumbledore, Michael Gambon's death today. So rest in peace to him, and good thoughts with his family, our beloved Dumbledore. I will leave with this quote. I feel like it was only appropriate to include a little something just because I do reference Harry Potter a lot in my Scottish trip. So this is for you, Mr. Michael. But you know, happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light.
Of course it's happening inside your head, Harry. Why should that mean that it's not real?
Other side note, I did make sure that I could get cell phone service when I was there, because if I was going to travel alone, there was no way I wasn't going to have access to my Google Maps. No way, Jose. So if you're on Verizon, I can give you advice here or give you like insight, but if you're another phone company, I don't really know how it works for you. But with Verizon, you can actually pick an international plan for day by day. That's what I did. It's $10 a day, and they give you a certain amount of gigabytes and stuff like that. I never went over. The nice thing is they did send you text to say like your plan is active, you were active until blah 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 date and time, and then they would send that to you daily, so that way you knew that you were still getting access to the towers and whatever else that they use. So I got off of Princess Street Gardens, and I had some time before I could check into my hostel. I think the check-in time at my hostel was 3 p.m. and by that point I believe it was around noon. By the time I went through the security for my passport, got on the tram, got the tram to Princess Street Gardens, so I just kind of moseyed about. I could have gone to my hostel immediately to drop off my bags. All the hostels that I stayed at, they had a bag drop-off area, so you didn't have to lug around your bags if you didn't want to. Normally they do cost some sort of change. To kill time, I basically walked around in bewilderment at how beautiful Edinburgh was. The castle just looming overhead. Looked at the fountains, the tombstones that are over there, and then I think around 2 o'clock I decided to make my way over to the hostel. The hostel that I stayed at was in the Old Town area. It was very well labeled. Sometimes I feel like hostels are a little bit more inconspicuous. Hopefully when you go it won't be so expensive, because for me it was about 100 American dollars a night, and it seemed like when you don't go during peak period in August, it's definitely a lot cheaper. I think somewhere between 40 to 60 American dollars. So a little bit about the hostels. I never stayed in one before this. I always stayed in hotels because it just made more sense for me. This time, obviously that wasn't the case. I was going alone, and I think in America, hostels get a bad rap. I think it's because of our horror movies or something that we made about hostels. I'm not really sure. But there, I had no issues staying at any of the hostels. The hostel that I stayed at in Edinburgh can be separated by gender if that's something that you would like. They didn't have any more spots to stay at that were separated when I booked for that hostel, so I stayed in a co-ed dorm or whatever they're calling it. So I was the only girl in my dorm for most of it, except for the last night. It was more about 3 and 3. There was 6 people total in our room. So that did kind of make me a little nervous at first, just because, I don't know. It's a lot of mans in there.
It is when you get those manly urges and you just gotta kill something.
But it was perfectly fine. Everyone was super nice. They kind of just stayed to themselves, and I had some people talk to me and some people didn't. It was I think a perfect balance. Everyone was very respectful of each other. It was very hard to keep quiet. And that hostel, that was like my only maybe gripe about it, is if you had to open up your locker to get your stuff out, because every bed had an associated locker with it, it did kind of suck to try and open that as quietly as possible without disturbing your bunkmates there. One thing I will mention, make sure you bring a towel with you. They do have towels for rent, but I believe it was always around either £2 or €2 to rent a towel. So if you want to save some money on that, just pack a towel in your suitcase. Or if you think you'd rather just buy more souvenirs or something instead of bringing a towel with you, don't, and just rent one there. Some dorms did come with an attached bathroom and some did not. The first one I stayed at, the Kickass Grassmarket one, ours did not come with a bathroom with our hostel. But there were plenty of bathrooms and showers on the same floor, so you just had to go over and walk to the bathroom or the shower if you needed to. So I was able to find my hostel. I walked in. It was very clean and very well updated, so I would definitely recommend staying at this hostel if you are looking for a place to stay in Old Town in Edinburgh, if you decided to go. I went over and I was a little early to check in, so I actually walked next door and they had a donut and coffee place, which was delicious. I got a cinnamon roll donut. Beautiful. And I feel like iced coffees aren't really that popular outside of America, but this place actually did give you an iced drink, which was nice because I was pretty hot by that point, walking about a mile in 70-ish degree weather, lugging my stuff around. So I checked in, walked up to my room. So by this point, I was feeling pretty confident, definitely in comparison at one point on the plane. Once we started getting within an hour to touching down in Edinburgh, I started getting a little bit anxious. Not full-on panic attack or anything, but I definitely was starting to get anxiety, like, what am I doing? Why did I decide to do this? Is it going to be okay? Am I going to get lost? Like, all those thoughts just kept racing through my head. But obviously everything had gone smooth up till now, so I was feeling a lot more confident that, hey, my phone works, I have Google Maps, I can figure it out if I need to, I have access to cell phones, and a cell phone where I can make calls if I need to. So I was feeling like pretty good by this point. Tired, yes, by the time I checked in at my hostel, but I was feeling a lot more confident. The rest of the day of day one Edinburgh, now that I've talked for so long, is my friend told me that I should go to Calton Hill, I believe is what it's called. Where is my phone? Let's make sure that I'm not missing a letter in there. Yeah, Calton Hill. And since I had a lot of time to kill and normally walking keeps you awake, I decided I would walk over there. I got to walk through Old Town and see a lot of the festival stuff. I personally didn't really care about the festival. That's not why I was there. I just happened to go when it was going on. But if you do really like any sort of art, whether it's music, comedy, theater, they had so many cool performers and events going on every single night. So if that is something you're interested in, definitely do it. I was there more for the sightseeing and not so much that, so I didn't participate. But walking through and seeing all the performers was really awesome. One thing about Edinburgh is it is very hilly, so be prepared to work out your calves. But yeah, anyways, as an aside, Edinburgh is a very walkable city, but it has a lot of hills, so just heads up. So I walked across the bridge all the way to Calton Hill, and at first I was like, do I want to walk up this hill? Because I was tired, man. What can I say? But going up there, do it. Edinburgh is called the Athens of the North, and there's a reason for that. It's beautiful up there, seeing just the whole city down below you and all those really cool monuments and structures that are up there. Go up. Make sure you don't miss going up the Calton Hill. It's incredible. So I sat up there for a while, just people watched, looked at just the scenery around me, touched some grass, you know, and then I walked back down. I don't remember where. I think dinner that night I just went to, it wasn't called Tesco there, it was some different thing, but I got one of their meal deals. I think at that point it's I think it's a £3 meal deal, which recommend if you're on a budget. You get a sandwich or a salad, I believe, if they have that available, chips and a drink. And it was just a cheap, easy option, and I picked that for dinner. And I went to bed, and I believe it was like 8 p.m. by that point, and I was just glad that I made it to a late enough time where I could actually... It would make more sense for me to not have an awful sleep schedule the whole time I was there. The next day, I was feeling much better. I think I got up around 7 or 8 a.m. And then that's when I realized, oh dang, I don't think I actually scheduled a Scottish tour when I'm here. I picked the Scottish Highlands tour, and it was, I think the one I picked was like 80-ish American dollars. So it's not too bad, and it's a whole day excursion. It doesn't include any meals, so there will be meals you have to buy on top of that. Got all that squared away, and then went on over to get to my Scottish breakfast. I don't remember what the place was called. If I somehow do, I'll put it here. They had a very beautiful latte. It was delicious, and then a very nice breakfast. And walking back from there, I realized they had a cat cafe near my hostel, and I didn't do it, and I regret it still. After I ate my breakfast, which was, again, 10 out of 10, delicious, I kind of moseyed about. I went to go look at some shops so I get some souvenirs, one of them being this hat that I'm wearing right now. I went to the Scots Monument, which was probably my favorite monument. And another tip, if you're outside of America and you're in the UK, take advantage of the museums. Museums are free in the UK, and also if you're looking for a restroom, museums are the place to go because they don't charge you money to use their restrooms. So I went to the National Museum of Art, I think is what it's called in Edinburgh. National Gallery of Scotland. So I just kind of moseyed about and looked at all the art, and I love looking at art, especially from the 1700s, and they had quite a bit of art to look at. I love seeing art in person because you can see the brushstrokes on the piece, and you can kind of get a better idea of how they might have layered the paint on, and I love painting. The only thing I had planned that day when I was in Edinburgh was a Harry Potter walking tour at 3 p.m. So that time rolled around, I walked over there, and our Harry Potter tour guide was great. I don't remember her name, but she was so nice and friendly. She was proper Scottish, so she did have a Scottish accent, but it wasn't so thick where I had issues kind of understanding what she was saying. It was just like the perfect amount of Scottish accent for my American ears to understand her perfectly, while also getting a little boost of that hee I love accents serotonin in my brain. She walked us around different Harry Potter sites. I guess J.K. Rowling lived in Edinburgh and wrote a lot of her books in Edinburgh, and they very much relish their writers in Edinburgh, so they have a little area on the ground where it's kind of like in Hollywood where they put people's handprints there. We saw Tom Riddle's grave, or what was more than likely the inspiration for McGonagall's grave, where she just got different inspirations for a lot of the sites in Harry Potter. We saw more like the inspiration for the Weasley twins' joke shop, for the wand shop, the broom shops, like a lot of different shops you would find in Harry Potter. And then I think the last thing I did that day, I went to McGonagall's Gin and Whiskey Emporium. I don't drink very often, if at all. However, thanks to Peaky Blinders, I have gotten myself into a little bit of gin.
And you're perfect. My gin is for women that don't really drink.
I do like a good gin drink every once in a while. So, Edinburgh being known for their gin and their whiskey, I was like, well, fine. I will get a gin drink. Because I knew I would have to get up really early the following morning to do my Scotland Highland adventure, I went back to the hostel pretty early, and I think I was asleep by like 8 again. Next morning, I got up at, I think it was like 6:30 a.m. and I walked on over to catch my bus out of the city. Our tour guide on the bus, he was very knowledgeable and very nice. He had a very dry sense of humor.
Lubnig. Lubnig meaning crooked. So Loch Lubnig is the crooked loch. Most of the lochs of Scotland are straight. But there's a small number that are not. Lubnig here is one of them. It's very roughly in the shape of a letter S. and like a lot of lochs of Scotland, it is very popular with people who enjoy fishing. Not for salmon in this particular loch, we're looking more along the lines of perch, brown trout, bream, arctic char and stickleback. You'll get a chance to look down at Loch Lubnig in about 5 minutes from here, guys.
For the bus tours, they don't have a bathroom on there, but there are plenty of stops along the way where you can use the facilities. So we left out of Edinburgh, and our first stop was, I don't remember the city. It was just some random stop. That is one thing that I didn't really enjoy about the Scottish one as much as the Irish one, is on this particular tour, 2 out of the 3 stops, it felt like there was some sort of agreement between the bus companies and whatever the facilities were, that they were going to provide food for the people on the bus. And because of that, it was kind of pricey, and it wasn't very good food at all. It was obviously edible, but for the price you're paying, it really wasn't that great. So we got to our first stop. We saw some hairy coos. They are adorable. Look at them. Oh my gosh. So cute. And then we went in to get some coffee or tea and some sort of breakfast. I think I got like a pastry of some sort and a coffee, and it was, or tea. I think I got a tea. And then I panicked because there was such a long line behind me that I was like, here are my coins. And then he counted them for me, which is very nice. But yeah. So after we ate and said hi to the cows, we got back on the bus and headed deeper and deeper into the Scottish Highlands.
We'll be leaving the Loch Lomond and Trossachs National Park. We're also going to be leaving the Stirling area, and we're going to come into Argyll and Bute. Now we're just going to put a quick photograph stop in here for you, ladies and gentlemen. There's a little viewing area up here, a little viewpoint. Allow you to get a few photographs over. Off to our left on the other side of Loch Bar there. But it will cross back over to our right in about 10 minutes from here. It's not unusual here in the Highlands to get temperatures of -5 degrees Celsius, -10, even more.
You can see here that it's just beautiful. Whenever we were able to stop, if there's room for the bus, we would stop in certain areas along the way. It's breathtaking up there. We saw a lot of Harry Potter stuff, obviously. We got to see the Forbidden Forest. We didn't stop for the Forbidden Forest. It was kind of more of a drive-by. Most of the time he did talk. There were some 20-ish minute gaps where he wouldn't say much, but for the most part, I would say 85% of it he talked all the way through, just to give you Scottish history, facts about the area that we were in, etc. Our major stop that day was at Loch Shiel. Loch Shiel is where they filmed the Black Lake in Harry Potter, and they also, on the other side, if you climb up the hill, there is the train in Harry Potter. This one wasn't a steam train that went by, but we did get to see the train. Got a picture of myself up there, thanks to a lovely lady who saw me struggling to take a picture of myself. And then I walked back down and walked to the lake, and this is where it started to rain. It honestly added to the ominous vibes of Loch Shiel. So while at Loch Shiel, they had a very nice gift shop / just more information about Scotland. It's from the National Trust of Scotland, and if you are looking for mugs, particularly, I recommend going there. They had obviously some Harry Potter merchandise, because how could you not if you're being in the middle of the Black Lake and the train in Harry Potter. I personally didn't really care for the Harry Potter merch. There was very standard stuff that you could buy on like Box Lunch or Hot Topic in America, so maybe if you're not from America you would feel a little bit differently about the Harry Potter merch. But the mugs were so cool. I got the little Loch Ness Monster Nessie. Got it. So this was the box it came in. It's from Moreland Pottery. Nessie! Look at her. Oh man, so cute. And then this says the National Trust for Scotland, designed, printed, and decorated in the UK by Moreland Pottery. So these, great. They have a website, morelandpottery.co.uk. Maybe they have them online. I don't know. But these were the best mugs that I found while in Scotland and in Ireland. So if you are a mug queen like yours truly, hold out and buy one from there if you are going up to Loch Shield. Let's see. We did some more stops. We had to go back down the mountains. We had one more stop along the way. I don't remember what city this is, or what town I should say. It's not a city. Ooh, wait, did I find it? Oh yeah, Pitlochry. That's what it is. Our last stop was in Pitlochry, and this was my favorite stop, aside from obviously the more scenic areas, but in terms of stopping for food, this was my favorite place because we weren't just like funneled in to one restaurant to get some mediocre food. This was an actual town that we could wander and find our own things to eat, and I stumbled into the place that had the best, and I am talking the best tea. I got their Earl Grey blend, and I love Earl Grey tea. It's my favorite kind, and they have their own blend there, and if they packaged it and sold it, I would buy it. Then we made our way back into Edinburgh, and we were dropped off. And we were dropped off at a different place in Edinburgh because of the festival. They couldn't go back and drop us off where they picked us up at, because at this point the festival was in full swing. It was like 7 p.m. So unfortunately for me, this meant a longer walk back. But you know what? It was fine. I like walking. I said it. I liked walking. So walked to my little butt back to the hostel, and that was the last night I was in Edinburgh. Night I went and I checked out the next morning and started walking back to the Edinburgh tram. My flight out was at 2 p.m. I believe, to go to Cork, and this is where things started to get a little bit more stressful, just because I was confused on where I was supposed to go, because I already pre-checked in, and Aer Lingus is pretty strict with their carry-on bags. So I wasn't sure if they needed to pre-approve my bag before I went on. So I got into the line to check in, and when I got through, I was like, no, I've already checked in. And then they were like, oh, well, you don't need to be in this line then. And then I was like, oh, well, I already went through it. But luckily a girl went and grabbed my bag and then made it work in the little like cubby thing that they check to make sure your bag is okay. And then she just gave me a tip on if they check my bag, just on how I should put it in, so that way I won't get charged the fee to check it at the gate. After that point, it really wasn't that bad. One thing I do think is weird, if you've never been out of the country, European and UK airports aren't my fave. You can tell they are mainly catered to you to buy things, like a shopping mall. There isn't a whole lot of places to sit and relax like you can in American airports, where you can always find some table to sit at. So they announced our gate. I got on seamlessly. I sat next to a dad and his son. Got to Cork, and this is where the chaos really began. Because honestly, if you travel, will you ever feel like you didn't do something incorrectly? I don't think so. I think that's part of it, is being embarrassed at yourself for not knowing something and doing something correctly. And hopefully you meet people who will give you a little bit more grace than the person that I met did. So again, being from America and normally going through larger airports, I'm used to more signs being strewn about for where you're supposed to stand for your passport. So this is where I made my first mistake. I got into the line for the passport line. It was the correct line. However, at the very last second, it forks off into 2 different lines. And beknownst to me, one line, more subtly, in my opinion, even though I guess maybe it wasn't subtle, but I was tired, I don't know. It didn't, my brain didn't register that the lines were different. One line was for European people and the other line was for everyone else. So, of course, I picked the European line, and then I got up, and then the girl yelled at me for being in the wrong line, and then I said, oh, well, where do I go? And then she's like, just get back in line. And so then I was about to get back all the way back into the line. Luckily, the guy behind me pointed me in the right area, which just happened to be 2 feet over to my right. And I got into the right line. And I got checked in. And that guy was lovely. So thank you, guy who checked me in at the Irish airport in Cork, for being nice. Yeah, because there's no way he didn't hear what she said, because they were sitting in the same booth together. It had her side and then his side. There's no way he didn't hear her just yell at me for being in the wrong line. That was issue number 1. Issue number 2 in Cork was the bus system was not obvious. I was hoping that there'd be more people just like lingering about that you could talk to. There was no one. So after walking around back and forth, trying to figure out what I was supposed to do about the bus, and only seeing a kiosk where you could punch in your bus ticket that you needed. However, there was no person there, so I just didn't know what bus ticket I was supposed to take. I tried to look it up online. I tried to look it up through the kiosk thing, and I just couldn't figure out which one would be the best one to take. So I went up to the Aer Lingus attendant, and she was so nice, and she helped point me where I needed to go. She just said, you can take any bus and it'll go to downtown Cork. Just don't take the one to Killarney because that'll be in the wrong direction. So, taking her advice, I marched myself back out to the kiosk, bought myself a bus ticket, and it wasn't very expensive. I think it was like 4 or 5, maybe it was €6, and I waited for my bus and hoped that I wouldn't have to wait too long for it. I wasn't the only one that had this issue, for sure, because when I bought my ticket, a different bus came, and then they went and asked them, is this the right bus to take? And that one was the one to Killarney, the one she said not to take, and then he said, no, don't take this bus if you want to go to downtown Cork. Literally take any other bus. And I was like, awesome. 2 people saying the same thing. We love to hear it. I was glad I wasn't alone in my not knowing what bus to take. That made me feel a lot better, that it wasn't just me being an idiot. It was just things weren't well directioned at the airport if you were new to Cork and didn't know where to go. But after that was like my only major hiccup there. After that, Cork was smooth sailing. Got on the bus, and it was, I think, a 20-ish minute bus ride from the airport to Cork downtown. And luckily, I picked the perfect spot to get off at. Man, I felt so proud of myself getting off at the perfect place that was right near my hostel. It was only like 2 blocks up. Had to cross the bridge across Cork, a little block up, and that was my hostel. So in Cork, I stayed at the hostel Bru Bar Hostel. This one was very inexpensive. It was the cheapest one that I found the whole time I was there. I think it was like 20-ish American dollars a night. The rooms were a lot more quaint and small, and obviously because it wasn't in a festival-ridden city like when I went to Edinburgh, it was very nice and quiet in there. The only issue that we had was it was a little hot, but I think it was just our placement where we were next to a laundry area, so then the hot air from the laundry dryers was just blowing into our room. But other than that, it was a very nice room. The beds are very comfortable. I was happy that I got a top bunk because I love top bunks. They're my fave. So this was a hostel where they assigned you a bed. You didn't get a pick. You just got what you got. And they also had a locker area for your bags. It was underneath the person on the bottom, so that was kind of an issue if I needed to get one of my bags out, because there was no way you weren't going to wake the person up on the bottom bunk if you got up before them. The bathroom was very convenient. We had a bathroom attached right to our bunks, our bunk room. We had a total of 4 beds in there. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. And this one gave you free breakfast. Was it the most luxurious breakfast? no, but we got free breakfast and it was perfectly fine. They had toast, they had cereal, they had orange juice, coffee, tea. So the first day in Cork, I didn't plan anything. So I just wanted to make it an easy day where I would just walk around and enjoy Cork. So the reason why I picked Cork, because I feel like Cork is kind of a random one to pick if we're going anywhere in Ireland. But I picked Cork, one, because it was another major city. It's the second biggest city behind Dublin. Two, I have genealogy from Cork. I did my 23andMe test and it said that it's more than likely some of my ancestors came from Cork. So I was like, you got me. I guess I'm gonna go. And then two, it was, or three, it was really easy to do tours from Cork. So it made more sense to stay in Cork, and then that way you would have more time seeing things in the Ring of Kerry tour than I think if you were to do the Dublin one, which you may or may not see the same things, but I feel like you would feel a lot more rushed and you'd be out for longer because you'd have a farther drive from Dublin. That's mainly why I went to Cork. And Cork is a beautiful city. I loved that the river ran through the way it did. It's very similar to how it is in Dublin. Quite enjoyed the walkability of it. It definitely was a lot less hilly than Edinburgh, so I feel like a superhuman walking through the streets. I could walk so fast because I didn't have to worry about hills. So in Cork, I just kind of looked at the shops that were around. They had a lot of really cute ones, a lot of mall-esque, like outdoor outlet mall vibes to me. After walking around Cork, saying they had a frickin' Krispy Kreme donuts, which I was not expecting, popping into McDonald's to see if their restaurant menu was any different than ours, because, you know, I feel like that's how you know. You've gone someplace new. I decided, well, you know what, I am actually hungry, and I don't want to eat McDonald's for dinner. Where should I go to eat? I did a little Google search just to see if there was some restaurants that were popular in Cork, and the one that I found was Market Lane Restaurant, and you need to go. If you're in Cork, go to Market Lane Restaurant. It is so freaking good. I can't even, I feel like Ratatouille, when Ratatouille has his moments of just pure bliss from the flavors of everything he ate, that's how I felt. So went in, it was pretty crowded, but the bar was open, and me being a singular human, it wasn't that hard to just go sit at the bar. For some reason, the guy next to me, there were some weird issues going on with him. He was an older lad, and he forgot his wallet or something, because he ordered a drink and mussels and then was like, oh, I'll be right back. And then I was like, what's happening? Because, you know, if someone sounds kind of stressed, you're just kind of like, what's going on, my friend? What's happening? So he walks up to the hostess and is like, I forgot my wallet. Can I be right back? And then she was like, oh, sure. I was there for a good while after he left because I ordered a dark beer and I don't drink beer that often, so it takes me forever to drink a glass of, or a pint of beer. So I took like a long time to drink it, and he never came back. So I'm still to this day wondering, did he dine and ditch? Or did he actually come back to pay for his food?
It's a mystery, and it will always be a mystery.
Boo. Editing Rachel here. I'm stopping this video now. It has gone on for so long. So this is going to be a part 1 of 2 parts of my Scotland and Ireland trip, and I figured this would probably be a very good place to stop. So we've made it through Scotland. We've arrived in Cork after some fun little hiccups, and we are ready to continue on in our next video with more Cork adventures, our Ring of Kerry adventures, and our Dublin adventures. So part 1 was mainly focused on Scotland, part 2 will be mainly focused on Ireland. So hope you enjoyed that little split between the two of them in case you're more interested in one country over the other. Hopefully next video will get a little better ending to it and not a jump scare from editing Rachel at the end of the video. So if you have any questions thus far, please let me know. Hopefully I've done a good job explaining just Scotland in general, my hostel experiences thus far, how my travel days went. But if you have other questions for me, love to answer them. Excuse any problems I had with remembering things. My brain sometimes is not the best at recall, or I get things mixed up. like east and west sometimes. I don't know. There's issues up here. Lots of issues. Actually, not really, but kinda. Anyways, I'm gonna go. Leave any questions you have down below, and I will see you soon for part 2. They will probably be videos in between part 1 and part 2 just because I have other things already filmed. And then I realized part 2, there was some footage missing. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So it's just gonna be 2 parts. Alright? I'm glad we agreed upon this. Jessica, good job keeping on track. Maybe. Okay, I'm gonna go. We're having an awesome yet spooky week, and I'll see you very soon for more videos and my part 2 of our Irish adventures. Bye!